Hey, what's up, DCS crew? We've got a knife straight out from the Apex Pass Around. This is the QSP Puffin with the S35vn blade, titanium handle, and carbon fiber inlays. This is made in China. And yeah, let's go ahead and open this up and see what is in the box. So, all right, we've got this awesome knife. Okay, I'm feeling it so far. Okay, we got the dimensions card that talks a little bit about the knife, the steel, that sort of thing, and the statement of I guess the liability and limited lifetime warranty that they offer. And that's basically it that you get inside of the box, which is pretty straightforward, and I like. QSP likes to delve a little bit more into the knife designs that work, and they are known for the shortened version of their name, QSP, which stands for quality, service, and price. So let's go ahead and delve into the QSP Puffin right after this intro. Guys, what's up, DCS crew? Okay, so we're back now. I do want you guys to see that the reason why I went ahead and I put this together this way is so you can see exactly how it comes out of the box, and just kind of discuss a little bit about the knife itself. Now, I received this knife on behalf of the Apex Pass Around. QSP has played a big part in the Pass Around. Blade Banter from the Blade Banter YouTube channel, his name is David, was actually at the QSP booth over at SHOT Show, and amongst a few knives that he showed us in the videos, he showed this to me offhand on the camera, and I was really enamored by it. So when I had the opportunity to go ahead and check it out through the Pass Around, I put my name in. I'm like, yeah, man, send that thing over here. And voila, I've got mail. And I've been carrying this for a little bit. And I found a couple of really cool things about it. There's a couple of things I do not like about it, but the verdict is going to be out at the end of this video. And just keep in mind, you can take this kind of thing with a grain of salt. It may be different for me than it is for you, but let's go ahead and get started. So this particular model, okay, is QS127E2. Okay, now the reason why I mentioned that is because they do have a two-handed version. They do have a two-handed model, and that's actually specifically geared towards Europe. Okay, this one is with a Thumbstud variant, and it has thumb studs on both sides. It does have S35vn steel. It does have the titanium that can be anodized, by the way, and the carbon fiber inlay. Okay, so it does run on caged bearings, and it has hardware throughout for not only the inlay, for the clip, the scales, the clip on this side, the lock bar stabilizer, and the pivot, which actually has the delta symbol or the triangle symbol on the show side, and on the clip side is the takedown portion of the pivot. So the pivot itself is a T8, and the hardware, the rest of the hardware, including a clip, is T6. Okay, and now as far as blade dimensions, we are looking at a 4-inch handle and a 3-inch blade. So just to be able to go ahead and show you briefly what this kind of compares to as far as dimensions, I'm going to bring out a couple of other knives that I have around, and we'll start with some familiar guys to the table. This is the plain Jane Spyderco Para 3 in G10 with S30V steel. Deep pocket clip is not stock. That actually comes from MXG with their deep carry clips. This is the Ontario Rat number 1. As you can see, quite a bit bigger. And what else do we have over here? We have the, another Spyderco. Here is the Spyderco UK Penknife in S110V steel. Awesome steel, very slicey, non-locking setup, much like the two-handed version of this guy in S35vn, which you can pick up in Europe. And here is the We Knives Kite Fin, very reminiscent to a knife in their Civivi line. And in case you're wondering which one I'm talking about the Civivi Backlash, or in this case, this is my boy, the Blacklash. Significantly bigger, 9CR18 MOV steel. And as you can see, these are both slightly larger than the Puffin. So there you go as far as dimensions. Let me go ahead and put these away and we can continue with the review itself. Now, as I said before, the handles on this, the scale size is 4 inches and the knife itself is 3 inches. That's really good because that's typically the standard that you'd see for a knife about this size. It gives really good blade ratio. I've actually talked about that in other videos, and I made a video specifically about blade ratios actually. So now, as I said before, this is the Thumbstud version. There is a two-handed variant that comes with a slot here where you actually take it out this way, kind of like the gentlemanly type thing. It, if I'm not mistaken, it does lock and then, you know, just drops down, which I think is actually pretty cool. This guy came centered very, very nicely right out of the box. It's got a pretty thick blade profile, but the truth is the grind makes it nice and slicing. If you look at the grind, it's extremely clean the way that they went ahead and they were able to put that together, by the way. The frame lock is actually right on the target when you go ahead and you open, when you close this. Even if you open it slowly and you actuate the lock actually hits at about 35% to 40%, which is ideal for this kind of a knife. Now, for pros, I gotta tell you that the detent is extremely solid, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and go over this because I even made notes about this. The placement for the clip is actually really good. It is a single stud that is going to be on either side, either what the presentation side or the frame lock side, as you can see here. Okay, and let me see here. Oh, yeah, they even went so far as to skeletonize both of the inner titanium scales. And the reason why I wanted to go ahead and point that out, you see if I can show it here on my camera. Okay, you can see the presentation side has had some relief in the inside, but on the scale side, you don't see this often, but there's been some relief towards the end. And then on the back, you can actually see 2 other holes that have actually been thinned out to go ahead and create as light of a titanium you know, handled folding knife as possible when you are considering checking this particular knife out. The Puffin is actually surprisingly light, and it's because of that, okay? So one other thing that I thought was really cool about this was when I was actually looking at this and I was thinking, okay, this is going to be a potential con because it's just a single clip, a single screw that attaches the clip, which by the way it works very well onto this scale. But what I noticed is when I loosened the clip, I had to take the clip, the screw, excuse me, completely out to be able to move this. And then even then I had to actually like jot it out. And the reason being is because the clip itself, and I'll see if I can go ahead and put in a photograph showing this, the clip itself actually buries itself into the scale. There's like actually like a hole, kind of like on this side where you see it's kind of like a ditch inside, or kind of like a groove that's been cut into. So then when you take out that screw and you put in the clip actually fits flush into the scale. And then you put the clip in. So even if this loosens up or if it strips, this is not going to move at all. And I thought that was actually a really, really cool design. You know, kind of some design insight that was placed into this particular clip. And I don't know. I don't know exactly who came up with this design on behalf of QSP, but that kind of input, you know, that's really intuitive, and I thought that was really, really awesome. And you see some nice little nuances in the design. You see these little cutouts here on both the actual frame lock and the frame itself just outside. You see how the clip actually rests on the frame and not on the frame lock itself. Little things like that. I mean, they really set it apart. You know, that whole quality, service, and price really stands out when you're looking at this QSP Puffin. Okay, so now that I've gotten the good out, I did want to go ahead and discuss some of the stuff that I thought were cons. Okay, so first and foremost, the lock bar. Okay, the frame lock right here. If you notice, there's like a couple of scallops right here, and if you look at it on this side, you know, it's kind of like jimping. To be completely honest, you hold it, it's kind of like jimping, and even at that, it's pretty sharp. And it's weird that they'd have jimping here and then they wouldn't have any jimping here. But this jimping that's here, I guess, is sharp enough to where when you're putting this in and out of your pocket, if it's a thick pocket, like if it has those thick borders, you know, like on blue jeans and khakis and that sort of things and shorts, it's going to rip at that. And it's going to rip at it and it's going to rip at it and it's going to rip at it if you keep wearing this particular knife. Not because it's right under the clip, but as you're putting it in and taking it out, just the angle of the way that you're putting it in is going to cause, ooh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I had a little burp that came up. Just the angle, the way that you're putting that in and taking that out, just it creates kind of like this is almost like a cheese grater feel, and it's going to start messing with your knife, your jeans if you're not careful. So that is something that I did see. Now there is a another issue that I initially had, and I don't know if it's because I've just had to relearn how to use thumb studs. I don't know if you noticed, but the knives that I brought out here, none of them have thumb studs. None of them. They're thumb holes or they're flippers. And I have a couple of knives that have thumb studs, like the Ontario Rat 1, the CJRB Centros, that sort of thing. But I noticed that the relief between the thumb stud and the actual scale, it leaves very little. So when you're going to actually open this, okay, if you're not careful and you open it incorrectly, yeah, it'll open without a problem. It's got a little bit of stiff detent, but it'll start to eat at your thumb. And just from playing around with it here, just so you can see what I'm talking about, that's my thumb after messing with it for a little while. I actually had cut it open, and there was a couple of days where I couldn't even use it. I had to open it up, like a dork, or even, on my left side, which I found out actually on the left side, I can do it with no problem, and it doesn't mess with my thumb. It's the weirdest thing. So I don't know if it's the detent, like a combination of the detent, the lack of relief here, and then the sharp thumb studs, or some kind of combination of any of those three. But for whatever reason, I've actually had to relearn how to open knives with a thumb stud. So instead of using this part of the meat, I'm actually using this little area of my thumb. And if you look here, I basically take that little area and I place it right here, and I flick it out and it opens with no problem. And by the way, it closes with no problem either. But yeah, I've had to actually learn how to do that again, because for whatever reason, I did have issues with the thumb stud and the spacing on this particular knife. Why? I don't know, but that was just, my thing. Now, second con, as cool of a knife that this is, availability is extremely limited, okay? I actually have a QSP Penguin in blue jean micarta, and getting that guy, I had to look everywhere for that thing, because when it first came out, I think they had it for like 20 bucks on drop, and then the normal price is 30. So I'm like, all right, whatever, I couldn't get it at 20, I'll get it at 30. I started looking everywhere, and it's like they were all sold out, or they had very limited supply, and you just couldn't get it. QSP is not making as large production numbers of their knives as some of these other companies, so availability is pretty limited, okay? And I will go into places where you can go ahead and pick up this knife, both in the US and outside, but that's towards the end. I just want to go ahead and digress into my my other cons. So aside from that, the T6 screws. Now, there's a lot of T6 screws here, with the exception of the pivot. I don't like using T6 screws for the construction of the knife, especially when you're taking it down, because they are so easy to freaking strip. And it's not the tools used. Sometimes it's just the screws themselves, You don't know how good the quality is of some of these screws. And then there are even companies that are US based, like Spyderco, that used to put stuff like red Loctite, behind the screws. So it's like when you're working against red Loctite and T6, it becomes a bit of a problem. So that's something that I do not like about this particular knife, and that, you know, I kind of noticed from just, you know, just my overall work with other knives in the past, as well as, you know, looking over this particular knife, the QSP Puffin. Okay, so yeah, that's basically it, to be completely honest. Those were my cons. Not a lot, but I did want to tell you this because those are things that came up from, you know, just basically carrying the QSP Puffin around, you know, quite a bit in my pockets. And they were, you know, I could carry this with no problem in my slacks, but once I started to carry this in my khakis, in my shorts, and in my jeans, I mean, it happened to be that this was literally, it just felt like a cheese grater, guys. But so much to really like about this, you know, just the overall size and dimensions, you know, the titanium and the actual carbon fiber inlays, just little things like, you know, the clip design and how it goes into the actual, you know, kind of divots into the frame itself, whether on the left or right hand side, since it's, you know, tipped for both. It has that unobtrusive lanyard hole. It has the relief cuts inside of the titanium to further lighten this knife. And I mean, it was actually pretty easy for me to go ahead and flick it with my left, just in case, you know, I mess up my hand on my right side. So I definitely have to give that to him. So you know, my verdict on this is that this is actually a pretty cool knife. If I were to do anything to it, I'd probably smooth out this this thumb stud to make it a little bit easier to be able to go ahead and open and actuate on, you know, on command. Although I have never, ever not been able to, I've never had this thing misfire when I've used it, and it's very great action. These bearings are fantastic. And just to kind of give you a feel of what it is, as soon as I go ahead, like, I mean, keep in mind, this is it locked. I unlock it, I just take it past the detent ball, I'm just gonna let it drop. It's literally that smooth, guys, okay? So, you know, just keep that in mind. If you are looking for something like this, and you are not in an area that's restricted with regards to, you know, carrying something that can be, you know, on bearings, that's, you know, it would fail the gravity knife test. So I would really recommend you check this out if you can legally carry it, okay? It's something different. You get S35vn steel, titanium, and carbon fiber inlays. I mean, it's pretty cool. And I like it. I can dig it. I can dig it, okay? Now, where can you get this? Okay, well, that is the big question. I'm gonna give you a couple of places that you can go ahead and get this from, okay? One of them is from Europe, and the other two are from the United States. So the two from the US that you can pick this up at are, number one, White Mountain Knives, okay? LTK, Love Them Knives, actually has a discount there, so does Slicey Dicey. I think it's SDWMK, and LTK, excuse me, LTK WMK. Either one of those will get you a nice little percentage discount. If I'm not mistaken, it's like 10 or 15%, something like that, on their knives. Go ahead and check out this knife, and with a little bit of a discount and their blessing, if you choose to go ahead and do that. I do not have a discount from there because I don't know, I haven't met up with the people there, but hopefully I will have, you know, an affiliate account and a discount soon. I'll pass that to my DCS crew with no problem, okay? Now, the other place I wanted to tell you that is from Europe is, and I'm hoping that I say this correct, it's Henny Hayes. And I'll spell that, it's Heinne. Okay, so that's Henny Hayes at, it's henny.com. Or Heine. I feel weird about saying Heine because that just reminds me of a booty. But yeah, Heine.com. You can go ahead and check that there if you are in Europe. If you're not in Europe and you're in the US, feel free to go ahead and check this out at White Mountain Knives and at Knives Plus. So here it is, guys. This is model QS217EA, if I'm not mistaken. This is the QSP Puffin frame lock in titanium and carbon fiber. S35vn steel, feels good in the hand, works well. It's been lightened for very easy carry. A couple of things that I didn't like, but a lot that I did like and a lot that I would recommend. Feel free to go ahead and check this out. And a big shout out goes to the Apex Passeron for going ahead and letting me check out this knife. And remember, guys, if you ever have any questions about any of these knives, whether it's the QSP or Spyderco, you know, Civivi, whatever, feel free to go ahead and give me, a quick comment down below. you can go ahead and send me a message via my Instagram at Daily Carry Solutions or via my website at dailycarrysolutions.com. If you choose to email directly, it's dailycarrysolutions@gmail.com. And just remember, whatever you choose to EDC, remember, if it's the QSP Puffin, if it's the Spyderco UK PK, if it's the Spyderco Para 3, hell, if it's the Civivi Blacklash, if you EDC, think of DCS. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Peace.